Hey, everybody, and happy new year. This is our first lesson for the second semester. So hopefully we learn a lot about our own state. I sent everybody a packet in the mail this past Monday, and I'm not sure if everybody got it yet. If you have, and you're watching this video, you need to find your map of Tennessee that I sent in the envelope. If you haven't gotten it yet, you can still watch this, but you'll need to go back and fill it in later. So it's totally fine if you haven't gotten it yet. I would estimate that most of us should probably have this by Friday or Saturday. It just depends when the mailman comes to the school and gets the mail. So we are going to be talking about Tennessee for a couple of weeks, and this is a map here of our state. And these counties here are numbered, and these numbers are for the Department of Human Services. So like these are just groups of counties, and they've grouped them in the state, and we're going to learn them based on these groups here. So there are 9 different groups. So I'm going to make 9 different videos. Actually, what I might do is I may make 8 videos, and I might combine number 1 and number 3 because they're kind of small. But today we're going to be talking about this area here. We're going to be talking about the group of counties in number 4 here. So if you find your map, when you look at your map, I divided the state in half right here. So when you look at your map, there are actually 2 different parts. You'll see that on one page you will have, I'm hoping that this works better this time. You'll have, on one page, you'll have this part, and on the other page, you'll have this part here. So we're going to focus today on this gray area here. And these are the counties that we're going to be looking at. And this is the Metro Nashville area. And we call it the Metro Nashville area because Nashville is in this county right here. So we're going to label these counties. So what I want you to do is take your map, take this part here, this page, and I want you to follow along with me. And you're going to have to look at the shapes of the counties when we label them. So you have to pay very close attention to what it looks like to make sure that you're labeling the right one. We've done this with states and countries, and sometimes not everybody's great at labeling the right one. So we have to look at the shape and make sure that we're labeling the right one. So the first county we're going to look at is Davidson County. And what I did on this is, just like I did with countries and states, I put some unique things from each place on here. So Davidson County is where all of us live. I live here. I live in Old Hickory, which is kind of some people live in the city of Nashville, which is here. And then some people also live in other parts of Davidson County, like Antioch down here, or Goodlettsville up here, kind of near Sumner County. 2 famous people that I put there were from Nashville, and there were a lot of famous people that live in Nashville, but not a whole lot of famous people that were born in Nashville. But 2 famous people that I found were Julian Bond, who was the founder of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and he was the head of the NAACP. He did a lot of civil rights marches with Martin Luther King in the 1960s. He's actually quite a famous guy. He died back in 2010, so about 10 years ago, but a lot of streets in Atlanta are named after Julian Bond. And also Lark Voorhees, one of my favorite, well, it's not my favorite, I guess my wife's favorite shows when she grew up was Saved by the Bell. And Lark Voorhees played Lisa Turtle on Saved by the Bell, and my wife just loves that show. She still loves that show. Also in Davidson County, we have the Grand Ole Opry. This is the Grand Ole Opry stage. This is celebrating Ray Charles here. I have never been to the Grand Ole Opry because it's kind of expensive to go, and I just haven't been yet because I don't want to, shovel out that kind of money yet. But I will at some point. I don't know. If anyone ever hears of cheap tickets, you let me know. And this is down on Broad Street. Now, I bet a lot of you probably heard that there was a bombing near downtown on Christmas Day. And I don't think any of these buildings, but some of the buildings near here had the glass blown out of them. And also, this is the Davidson County Courthouse. So this is where, if you get in trouble, you have to go to court. Or sometimes, if you ever ask to serve on jury duty, you'll go there too. I don't know how much they pay you to go be on jury duty, but if you ever get called to jury duty, they pay you. In my little town in Georgia, they only paid you 20 bucks. All right, the next county we're going to look at is Wilson County. And there are a couple of cities there. One of the cities there is Mount Juliet. We go to Mount Juliet pretty often because my wife likes a restaurant there that serves kind of Japanese food. And so we go to Mount Juliet pretty often. But the county seat, or where the government is located, the capital of Wilson County, is Lebanon. And Lebanon's kind of like here. It takes a little bit of time to get there. Some famous things from Wilson County in Lebanon. Cracker Barrel was founded in Lebanon. And a lot of people like to go eat at Cracker Barrel, maybe when they're on the road, they're taking a road trip, they can kind of stop at Cracker Barrel and do a little shopping and do a little eating. And it's, it's never really terribly expensive. Also, they call Lebanon, they call the city Lebanon because they named it after the country Lebanon. And Lebanon is a country with a lot of cedar trees. And there are a lot of cedar trees in Wilson County. These are actually cedar trees here. This is a cedar glade. And a glade is an area where there's like a large rocks in the ground and cedars. And cedars are pretty famous trees because when you burn them, they smell really nice. I did not know this until I did the research for this presentation, but there is a railroad called the Music City Star Railroad, and it will take you from Lebanon all the way to Nashville, and it will also take you to other places around Nashville, and they only charge you sometimes $2 a trip. I guess if you worked in Nashville, but you lived in Lebanon, you could ride the train there. It's probably pretty slow though. I don't know. I like riding trains, but I probably wouldn't want to ride it every day. Oh, and also up here, I looked this up. You can actually fly a plane if you want to in Lebanon. There is a company called Extreme Thrill Rides, and they will take you up in a plane and let you fly it. And it will cost you $299, but you can do what this guy's doing and do like barrel rolls, like this in the plane. Seems kind of dangerous, but for $299, you can do it. You probably have to sign a lot of pieces of paper saying you won't sue them. All right, the next county we've got is Trousdale County. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Maybe someone can correct me, but the county seat is Hartsville, and I've been through Hartsville before. It was kind of hard for me to find a lot about Trousdale County or Hartsville. One thing that I did find that's kind of interesting recent news is in 2020, Trousdale County actually had the highest rate of coronavirus for any county in the entire country because over 1,000 prisoners at the prison in Trousdale County at Trousdale Turner Correctional Center tested positive for COVID, and 50 employees also got COVID. And this is the prison there. So, being in close contact, they all got COVID. You can't really social distance in a prison too well. Also in Trousdale County, I thought this was kind of interesting. In the 1970s, they began to build a nuclear power plant here in Trousdale County, and they never finished it. They canceled the project in 1983 after spending about $2 billion trying to build it. And I don't know why they canceled the project. Maybe they decided that they didn't need a nuclear plant there, but you can still see the abandoned nuclear plant. This is the silo for it. It's really eerie looking. So at one point, this was going to probably create a number of jobs in the area, but they canceled the project. Also, I found that in Trousdale County, in May of 2019, there was kind of big news. This teacher right here, she looks like a really nice kind of friendly lady. She got in big trouble for dragging a student. This is her dragging a girl. She dragged this girl back into the classroom. So apparently the girl had was really upset and had stormed out of the class, and she walked out here and the little girl was kind of sitting on the wall here. And the woman talked to her for a little bit and then decided she was going to drag her back in the room. And they actually, the mom, well, firstly, they let the teacher go, but the mom decided to press charges against her, and they arrested the teacher, and there she is right there. I don't know. She looks so nice in this vest, with her snowman and her candy cane, but who knew she was dragging, students around. All right. The next county we've got is Sumner County. Now, Mr. Christian used to actually work in Sumner County. I worked in White House, which is up here. It was kind of a long drive. It's like 45 minutes. Some interesting things about Sumner County. The county seat is Gallatin. Um, we actually Tennessee is home to the second tallest man in history. His name was John Rogan. He was, and I'll write it up here. This is kind of unbelievable. He was 8 feet and I believe 6 inches tall when he died. And he had a disease called gigantism, where you continue to grow. And he, after about the age of 13, he couldn't actually walk anymore. He had to sit down. His legs wouldn't work. You can kind of see that his knees are sort of big here. You can also see he has, gigantic hands and feet. He continued to, at some point, your bones can't support you. And he had, I'm going to butcher this word. This is like ankylosis. I did a bad job, but it's when your bones get really brittle and you can't stand on them anymore. So he actually made his living, he made his money by selling pictures of himself and postcards of himself at a train station. And he went all over the country and did this. So he's a pretty famous guy in like kind of the late 1800s. He died before 1900. Also in Sumner County, Johnny Cash, who is a famous musician, he had this very nice house in Hendersonville overlooking the lake. And when he died in 2003, his family sold the house, and they sold it to a member of another famous group called the Bee Gees. He sold it to a man named Barry Gibb, and then it burned down. So now nobody lives there. Also in Castilian Springs is kind of out. Let me get a different color. It's kind of out here a little bit. Castilian Springs. They actually found this artifact out there. This is a Native American artifact that is made of shells. It's made of this sort of shell. And it is carved into the shell, and you can see it's a man. He's holding like somebody's head and an axe in this hand. And it's from about the 1200s or 1300s. It was made by the Native Americans that lived in that area. But what's interesting is these shells, you won't find these shells in Tennessee. You have to find them on the coast. And so it's sort of evidence that Native Americans traded all throughout the southern United States. This is in a museum now. But if you're ever digging around and find something like this in your backyard, you probably could make a lot of money by selling it. All right, the next county is Rutherford County. This is Murfreesboro. When you drive down, Murfreesboro is about right here. We know it for Middle Tennessee State University. I had a good friend of mine that went to Middle Tennessee. They have a really great music program at Middle Tennessee, and that's what she went there for, music business. Also, in terms of the county and Rutherford County, the Nissan plant is the biggest employer. They have 8,000 people who work for Nissan, and you probably know that Nissan makes cars. They make, I've never owned a Nissan, but my aunt and uncle have one. Also, they have this cave here in Rutherford County. It's called the Snail Shell Cave, and it is protected. You and I are not allowed to go in it. There are certain animals and certain plants that live there that are very endangered. And so they have decided to protect the cave and seal it off from everybody else. There's a lady standing right here, but you have to have a special pass from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, I believe, or the U.S. Department of Forestry in order to come into the cave. So this lady must have a special pass, or she just snuck in, but hopefully she had a special pass. And I tried to look for famous people from Murfreesboro, and I did find one right here, Yolanda Hughes Haying, who placed first in the Miss International competition. She was a weightlifter, and she has competed in 6 Miss Olympia contests for bodybuilding and weightlifting. And she is definitely a buff lady, definitely a buff lady. All right. Williamson County. This is actually, believe it or not, it's the wealthiest county in Tennessee. And not only that, it is the 17th wealthiest county in the country. A lot of people that are really rich live here in Williamson County. In fact, you can't probably even buy a home in Williamson County for less than $500,000. There are maps that they publish on where all like the country music stars live, but it's not just country music stars. You have people like Michael Strahan that lives there, and famous athletes as well that live there. Evander Holyfield, I believe, who's a boxer, owned a house there at one point. Two people that are from that area, Miley Cyrus was born there in Brentwood, and our governor, Bill Lee, is also from Brentwood. Dolly Parton and her husband actually live in Brentwood. They are not from there. What's kind of interesting about Dolly Parton and her husband is that her husband, and this is her husband here, he is almost never seen in public. They don't really, they've been married for over 50 years, but he doesn't go to her concerts. He doesn't go on any award shows with her. He kind of stays in the shadows. He owned an air conditioning company for a long time. That's how they met. And Arrington Vineyards is a winery that you can go to. Well, when you're an adult, you can go there. And it's owned by Kix Brooks of Brooks and Dunn. Actually, I see a lot of people go there just like on family outings because they have a lot of these benches and you can kind of sit and it's nice and you can overlook the landscape. I did think it was interesting when I looked up Williamson County that this is their seal. And what I thought was kind of unique about that is that they still have the Confederate battle flag on their seal. And a lot of places, I know the state of Mississippi has done this, in Georgia, a lot of counties and states that have the Confederate battle flag on their flag, they have taken it off of their flag and they've replaced it with something else. Just because, you know, it's a controversial flag. So I don't know if they'll keep the Confederate battle flag on there. They might. They might take it off, though. Okay. The next county we have is Cheatham County. Cheatham County is home of this Indian mound here. It's called Mound Bottom. This is actually the largest Indian mound that we have in the state. In Georgia, we have one that's a lot taller than this. It's probably up here. These were made by people called the Mississippian people. And we don't know why they built these mounds. Sometimes people think that important people lived on top of the mound or they used it for like religious purposes. We don't really know. They haven't really, they didn't leave any written evidence on why they used the mounds. The county seat is Ashland City, which is a pretty small town. I've been through it a couple of different times. This is their courthouse in Ashland City. This is an old picture of their courthouse, and this courthouse is still there today. They still use the same courthouse. Also, I just thought this was interesting that in 2018, they found a 6-foot rattlesnake in Cheatham County. That is almost as tall as I am. And if I saw that crossing the road, I would not have gotten out of my car to try to kill it. But this guy surely did. And it looks like he killed it. He probably made it into a belt or maybe boots afterwards. You probably have a lot of skin. You can make it into something. Okay. The next county we have is Dickson County. This is Dickson County right here. The biggest city there is called Dickson, but Charlotte is the county seat. It is home to the oldest continuously used courthouse in the state. This courthouse was built in 1835 and it is still being used. Couple of famous people from Dickson County. The current punter for the Tennessee Titans, Trevor Daniel, is from Dickson. And also Oscar Robertson, who is a basketball Hall of Famer. He is from a very tiny community that doesn't even exist anymore in Dickson County called Promised Land, Tennessee. It was a community that was built by former slaves. And he played from 1960 to 1974 in the NBA. And he actually was also the president of the NBA Players Association, which a lot of people don't know this, but all the NBA players are members of an organization and they can decide sometimes not to play if they don't feel like they're getting enough money. And Oscar Robertson, when he was president of the NBA Players Association, he led a strike and the NBA players got more money. Also, we have a governor from Tennessee who was governor from 1953 to 1959 and from 1963 to 1967. He's sort of an interesting governor because he sort of brought Tennessee from being an agricultural state to one that has lots of factories and industry. And he was the first Southern governor to veto a segregation bill a long time ago, Black and white people in Tennessee used to go to different schools, and this man here was actually responsible for making sure that when the Supreme Court decided that Black and white people need to go to the same schools, that all school districts in the state followed that. And he actually had the Tennessee National Guard go out and enforce Black students being able to go to Clinton High School. So he actually died not long after he was governor. He died in 1968. All right. Montgomery County, this is just north of Dickson County. Couple of interesting things. In Dunbar Cave, we used to have access to Dunbar Cave, and now they've sealed it off. And they say that these are 8,000-year-old Native American artwork. Maybe, but it also maybe could be from somebody that just went in there and decided to paint on the side of the wall with charcoal. So I'm not going to say, I don't really know which one it is, but those are the glyphs. I guess this is like a lizard up here. Also, very famous person from Montgomery County, from Clarksville, is Wilma Rudolph. She was born in St. Bethlehem, Tennessee, and she is a world record-holding Olympian who was a runner. And I have an article that I gave you all about Wilma Rudolph so that you can read a little bit more about her. She did a lot of really extraordinary things. She got to meet the president. She was a goodwill ambassador for the United States to Africa. She did quite a bit. And she died, I want to say, in either the early 2000s or the late 90s. But this is a stamp that they made of Wilma Rudolph. But she was originally from Clarksville. Also, Austin Peay University is in Clarksville. I know that Blake's brother went to Austin Peay. And the old post office in Clarksville, you can see this is an old picture of the post office, and it's now a museum to the history of the area. Kind of looks exactly the same. I can't really think of very many things that have been done to it, except the road here is paved now, and back then it was just kind of dirt. All right. Stewart County. It was kind of hard to dig up stuff on Stewart County. There wasn't a whole lot of stuff. So there was a famous battle that occurred in, go back. There was a famous battle that occurred in Stewart County. There's a fort there that you can go to, Fort Donelson, and it was built to protect the Cumberland River from the Union Army, but it was captured by Ulysses S. Grant, who was the head of the Union troops. And after they won the battle at Fort Donelson, they actually were able to control this whole river and down to the Mississippi. The hotel that General Buckner, who was a Confederate general, that he surrendered to General Grant in 1862, it is still there today. It's not a hotel anymore, it's a museum. You can't stay there, but the building is still there, and I don't know if they've redone a whole lot of it because it looks kind of not from 1862. Maybe the chimneys do. Also, Stewart County was home to a governor, but not from Tennessee. It was home to a governor from Wyoming. William B. Ross was born in Dover. And Cumberland Fossil Plant in Cumberland City, which is in the southern. There are only two towns in Stewart County, I learned. There was Dover and then Cumberland City. But the power plant in Cumberland City, the smokestacks there are some of the tallest structures in the whole state. So you can actually see them for something like 40 miles away. You can see the smokestacks. I probably wouldn't want to live near them, though, because you're probably breathing in all this. All right. Houston County. I should start by mentioning that our very own Miss Brooks grew up in Houston County in Aaron, Tennessee. And I have been through Aaron. It says that it's a wee bit of Ireland in Tennessee. And I'm not sure if that's because the grass is really green there and the grass is really green in Ireland. They have an Irish Day celebration every St. Patrick's Day. So you can go there and there's like a big parade. Also, what's kind of interesting is they have these two, this is right across the street from a gas station, and I saw them and I had to go over to read the plaque. These were used to make building material a long time ago. They would make something called lime, not like limes you eat, but lime mortar. And what they would do is they'd put a brick down and then they put lime in between it and then another brick, and it would stick together. This is kind of interesting. I did not know this. This is there used to be a town called Danville in Houston County. And the town now sits where the Tennessee River has goes through. And the reason why is they put a dam on the river. Like when you have a river, I'll draw it over here. When you have a river like this is my river. If you put a dam on the river, like if I put a dam right here on the river, it'll stop the water. And so this will now turn into like a lake. And that's what happened to this community in Danville. There was Danville would have been a town like right here on the river. And then they dammed the Tennessee River to create Kentucky Lake. And then the town was underwater. The interesting thing is they had this building in town that they used to ship grain down the Tennessee River. And now you can only see the top of it. You can only see this part of the building. And it's sitting in the middle of a lake. And this is the building. It's kind of interesting. I guess if you took a boat out there, you could go walk on the roof. You could go walk on this part over here. I've never actually seen this. I might have to go by just to take a picture of that because that's kind of fun. Okay, Humphreys County. The county seat is Waverly. Couple of interesting things from Humphreys County. The first is every time I drive to Memphis, we're here, and I drive down this way to Memphis, I always see signs for the Loretta Lynn Ranch. And the Loretta Lynn Ranch is in Hurricane Mills. I don't know what you do at the Loretta Lynn Ranch. If anyone's been, definitely send me an email and let me know. But this is a picture of the Loretta Lynn Ranch. I don't know what you do there. Maybe, I guess you buy like tourist stuff from Loretta Lynn. Loretta Lynn's still alive. She's a famous country singer. But I have not been there yet. So I don't know, maybe I'll go. Also, there was a very famous battle, the Battle of Johnsonville. The battlefield in the Battle of Johnsonville is underwater right now. It is part of a lake. Again, the river was dammed, and so this whole area is part of a lake. Usually in old battlefields like this, you can go and find like old bullets and stuff like that, but you can't find them here because it's underwater. You'd have to go scuba diving to find them. This lady right here is Hattie Ophelia Wyatt Caraway. She actually was the very first woman to be elected to serve a full term in the United States Senate. She did not represent Tennessee, though. She represented the state of Arkansas, and she was the very first lady in the Senate. And she was in there for a good solid, like 10 or 12 years. Very first lady senator. Some senators were ladies before her, but they were appointed. They weren't elected. She actually was elected to be senator. Also, a very famous Miss America was from Waverly as well. This is Susan Goodman, and she was Miss America in 1983. This was her with President Ronald Reagan when she won Miss America. And unfortunately, she was killed in a train accident in 2015. You know, when you go to train tracks, you're not supposed to ever put your car on the train tracks because the train could come by and hit you. Well, that's exactly what happened to her. Her car was on the tracks and a train hit her. It's incredible. All right, Robertson County. I've been through Robertson County a number of times. It was real easy to get to Robertson County from where I used to work because White House is a town that is split between Robertson and Sumner County. Robertson County is famous for a couple of things. In Adams, Tennessee, which is up near the Kentucky border, you can go see the home of the Bell Witch. And the Bell Witch is a legend from that area. And I sent you a reading about the Bell Witch that you can read and answer questions about the Bell Witch. I have always wanted to go see the cave that the Bell Witch was supposed to live in, and it costs $12 to get in, and I don't know if I want to spend $12 to go look at a cave. But the story behind the Bell Witch is very interesting. In fact, we had a former president that you will learn went up to the cave to see about the Bell Witch. Also, in the town of Coopertown, Coopertown used to be one of the biggest speed traps in the United States. Certainly the southern United States. And in the state of Tennessee, it probably was the biggest speed trap. What they would do is when you would go through town, they would change the speed limit very quickly so that a lot of people got speeding tickets, and the town government made a lot of money from it. Eventually in 2013, they got a new police chief, and he decided that on his force to prevent racism when pulling people over, he was going to require all of his officers to take a lie detector test to keep racists off the police force. I don't know if it worked for him. I didn't read up whether it worked. but that was the police chief. So I don't know, maybe it worked for him. Also, Springfield in Robertson County used to have its own minor league baseball team called the Springfield Blanket Makers. That's the lamest name, but whatever. That was their team, and this is their courthouse. All right, we got one more. Oh, is that it? I guess that's it. Yeah. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do, I think. Yeah, that's it. All right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually, we're going to do a little quiz on this that I'm going to send home next week. I'm going to need everybody's answers. Um, and I'll talk about ways to get your answers to me. We can do it in a couple of different ways. You can take a picture of it and send it to me, or you can scan it. That's kind of hard, but I know Danny's mom did that for him. Um, you can also send it to me. You can bring it up to the school. It's probably easiest just to take a picture of it, honestly. But we'll have a little quiz on this, and I'll ask a couple of questions about these Tennessee counties. And then next week, we will explore another set of Tennessee counties. So get ready for that. Anyway, I hope everyone has a really great week, and let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you all soon. All right, bye-bye.